In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Larp legal flail. While the exact date of the flail is unknown, this weapon started out as an agricultural tool, used to harvest wheat and grain. The simple farming tool was then modified with a ball and spikes at the end when peasants were conscripted into the military service in the late Middle Ages. History shows the flail has been able to wreak havoc in past times, and now you too can do the same on the battlefield. The difficulty of this build is a 6 out of 10. Now time for your supplies. You're going to need a 7-inch PVC pipe and a 7-inch piece of PVC pipe foam insulator. Just make sure it fits right in there, because this is going to be acting as your handle for the flail. The next thing you're going to be needing is some nylon rope. This will be connecting the ball to the handle. In the case of making a flail, size does matter. So I decided to get 4.5 feet of this stuff just because I'd rather have too much than too little. Plus, you're going to be cutting it down to size later. It's important to keep in mind while you're making the flail how much reach you want it to have. The longer you make it, the greater reach you're going to have, but you're going to sacrifice the drawback time for when you lose momentum. The next thing on your list is going to be 2 metal washers. I got 3/8 of an inch, but you just want to make sure that they fit nice and snug over your rope. The washers are going to be placed over your rope to prevent the handle and the ball from flying off during combat. Now for the main piece, the plastic Halloween ball and chain. I picked this up on Amazon for about $6. It's a nice soft plastic, but it's hard enough to keep its shape and not deform when you're cracking someone over the face with it. Then you're going to need 1 permanent marker. I decided to go with pink because that's my battle ready color, and pink is the color of fear. Next, you're going to need a solid Dremel. Just make sure that it's good enough to cut through that hard plastic of the ball and chain. And remember to always wear safety equipment. A box cutter with some spare blades. You're going to be doing a lot of cutting in this project, and they're going to dull very fast. Some spray adhesive or hot glue. I live in the desert, so things held up with hot glue fall apart faster than the United States government. So spray adhesive works the best in hot environments. If you do decide to use hot glue, make sure that you buy yourself high temperature glue sticks. Then a roll of Gorilla Tape. This is going to be used for holding and securing things only. This is not to be used for decoration. Larp weapons will become way too hard and way too heavy if you use Gorilla Tape for anything other than securing. But that's why you go ahead and buy yourself regular duct tape. This is going to be used for decorating, not for securing things. So use whatever color you feel like using. Go ahead and get yourself a piece of poster board or paper. This is going to be used for making yourself templates. Go ahead and grab yourself a bag of cotton balls. I know it may sound weird now, but I'll explain their use later on in the video. Then go ahead and get yourself a roll of camp mat. And then go ahead and pick up some fine leather, linens, and jewels from the Far East to lavish your new Larp weapon. Alright, first step, to rip off this flimsy chain. It's made in China, so it's really easy to rip off. Then you're going to get your Dremel. You're going to be cutting into the plastic. You're going to cut this little end off right there. Be careful though, when you Dremel, do not Dremel along the seam. It's just going to split and crack open, and you're going to end up with a coconut bra instead. Alright, once you're done dremeling the little loop of the chain, you're going to make 2 holes. A small one in the top, and then a slightly larger one at the bottom. It's very important that you do not cut along the seam. And for the first hole, you're going to make it just barely the size of your rope. So then take your Sharpie marker and draw on the very top for the small hole, and then on the bottom, draw for the larger hole. Now the larger hole is going to be about the size of the washer, a little bit bigger. That way you can duct tape it and make sure that the rope is secure and the ball's not going to be flying off during combat. Alright, you can see that I dremeled the large hole that's slightly larger than the washer, and the small hole that's just the size of the rope. I did not have a sanding head on my Dremel. If you do, you can go ahead and do that, or you can take your Gorilla Tape and stick it on the inside of the edges. That way it doesn't cut the rope when you're flinging it around. Also take your Gorilla Tape and run it along the seam of the ball. That way it doesn't crack when you're hitting someone with it. Okay, I put on that duct tape right there just so it doesn't slice the rope up. And I also taped up the seam just to give it a little bit extra support there. And so what you're going to do at this point is go ahead and pull your rope on through, make sure that your washer is on there, and then go ahead and give it a good tie. Make a good knot, that way it doesn't slip through the smaller hole. And you can see here that the knot is slightly smaller than the big hole, so what you're going to do is actually take some little scraps of camp mat and tape it to the rope so it's larger than the hole itself. This way it secures a good solid lock, that way when you fling this thing around it won't fly off. Alright, I'm done making my plug. I've put the camp mat on there, secured it with some Gorilla Tape, and what you're going to do is force it in there. It's going to be pretty tough, but you're just going to have to push it, use some force, and you can see now it's inside the ball, and there's no way this thing is going to be flying off here. Now open up your bag of cotton balls and start sticking them in the bottom. The cotton balls basically absorb the shock from when you're hitting someone with it, so it doesn't dent. It makes it less brittle and adds just a little bit of extra weight to it too, so that's always really nice. Make sure when you put the cotton balls in there it's not packed too tight. And then once you're done with that, just take the Gorilla Tape and seal off the hole. Alright, so after you're done plugging up that hole, what you want to do is get your paper or poster board and make a template just so you can see how much camp mat you're going to need to cut out and just wrap around the ball. So after you're done making your template, go ahead and trace that onto your camp mat and cut that out. So you should have a piece look just like this after you're done. So you're going to need to make the big piece and then two smaller pieces, and then make sure that you carve some niches in the top, that way it's snug right up against the ball. Alright, so once you're done cutting your three pieces out, get your spray adhesive or hot glue, whatever you prefer, and glue the camp mat pieces to the ball like so. Make sure that they fit nice and snug up against the rope. Alright, so your flail should start to look like this once you're done. Our next step is we're going to fill in the 4 gaps on the side. And how we're going to do that is you're going to make exact shapes with your camp mat that fit right in just like a puzzle piece. Alright, this part can be a little bit tricky, so what you're going to do is get your paper or your poster board and trace the inside. Then cut that out. And after you're done cutting it out, trace that to your camp mat and you should get exact replicas of the inside that will fit nice and snug. Don't worry if the pieces don't fit perfectly and you have cracks on the side. That's going to be taken care of once we duct tape it later. There you go, you're on your way to having a flail in no time. Once you're done with that, it's time to move on to the more tedious part, cutting out 24 1.5 by 1.5 little squares, which will be adhered and then placed on the top, the middle, and almost the bottom on all 4 sides of the ball. Alright, now that the tedious part is done, you're almost done with completing the ball portion of the flail. All you have to do is duct tape it. Alright, start by duct taping the top and moving over each pug. And yes, they're called pugs. They're not dogs. It's important when you apply the duct tape that you apply it loosely, as you do not want to constrict the foam. If you constrict the foam, your flail will be too hard and won't be LARP legal. Keep going around all 4 sides of the flail, making sure that you duct tape each individual pug, and eventually we'll be going around to the other side. Alright, once you're done duct taping all 4 of the main sides, it's time to go in the opposite direction to cover up the rest of the pugs. Every once in a while, you're going to have to stop duct taping, get your razor blade, and push down the sides. This is going to make for a nice, lot cleaner looking flail. Alright, this is what it looks like completely duct taped. Looks pretty good in my opinion. I still have to go in and snip those little edges off. But it looks good, and you know, it's soft. It's not really going to hurt anyone too bad. But we're done, completely done with the ball portion of it. You can fling this thing around and start hurting your friends. But now it's time to move on to the handle portion of it. So go ahead and take your rope, as well as your PVC pipe and your foam insulator. Insert your PVC pipe through the insulator and feed the rope in through the PVC pipe. Then grab it. Now this part is important because you got to put the washer on there, that way your handle doesn't fly off. And this is probably the most crucial part of making a flail, is deciding the length at which you want your rope to be. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the longer your rope, the better reach you're going to have, but you're going to sacrifice the drawback time each time you swing. So once you find the appropriate length, go ahead and tie a knot with your washer in there, like so. Get your scissors or blade, snip that off, and now it's time to secure the foam to the handle. You may want to get a lighter just to fuse the nylon together, just so it doesn't unravel. Then take your PVC pipe insulator, open it up, and then take a little bit of your Gorilla Tape, placing it in the inside, making sure that you're touching the PVC pipe, and wrap it around like so, nice and tight. Then go ahead and do that for the rest of the handle, further securing it. I'm done securing my handle, and I went ahead and cut out 2 pieces of camp mat for my pommel. I was going for a pike type look. You can go with whatever style or shape that you like. Just cut it out of the camp mat and then tape it with the duct tape, and you'll be all set for your pommel. There is one last thing I like to do at the end. I like to take a scrap piece of foam and put it on the inside of my PVC pipe on the handle. That way it doesn't rub up against the rope, and you're all set. All you have to do is get some fine leathers and you can lavish your handle and make it look extravagant.